We live, we live, we live.
All right.
All righty then. Hey, good evening, everyone. What's going on? What's going on?
Good afternoon, family. I'm allowed to sit in again with Sister Audrey Muhammad.
That's you.
This is your local low level resident professor, as Uncle Mickey Free called me. Uh, and we're sitting in today. And this is our show. This is the time we get to be together.
Yes.
So,
Yes. There's so much going on, isn't it?
no, absolutely. The
Woo!
world is a little bit um, off kilter, as the old folks would say.
Yes,
Uh,
definitely.
there's some things going on that we're uh, not paying attention to
mm-hmm.
in the world news. That
Mm-hmm.
is absolutely should be. Those are things that we should be absolutely concerned with.
Right.
But of course, we're not. We're worried about the things that they put in front of us because those are shiny
Mm-hmm.
and cute. So we
Mm-hmm.
put those
Mm-hmm.
things in front of us instead of worried about what's really going on.
True.
So, we
Very
better do
true.
something different.
Quick and fast. We
Oh,
better do
yeah,
something different.
we better do something different.
Ooh, I know. I just this last couple of weeks has just been like, ooh, what's going on? I was listening earlier today on how to give birth to a God, a lecture done by the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan back in 1987, and was talking about what we doing to our bodies, and we wondering why our children is the way that they are, because what have we put into the children's bodies in the womb before they got to the womb? While we was doing and creating and messing ourselves up, our own life sperm, our own life eggs. We're not even understanding it. And I posted something the other day that was the I'll say this and then be quiet with this. But
No,
um
we're gonna follow this line for a
when
minute.
I was watching and looked at a picture, and I remember it being said to me, and it took me a minute to think about it. But if you think about science, you are what your grandmother was instilling in your mother, because when your mother was in her womb, she
Hmm.
already had her eggs
She was
in her.
programming it right.
So
She was
she was
right,
already programming the eggs for you. So you
right,
are what your grandmama was even
right.
doing when she was carrying your mama. So, and that just, so to me, was so
But
significant.
that's African though. That's an African concept. That's not a European science concept. That's an African concept where
Yeah.
like even
No, that's
like
life. That's science. That's God. God is
okay,
science.
well, but I'm saying
Yeah.
is the people that discovered that whole idea of God first is African people. So
Yeah.
now, but that's an African science that people now are just beginning to think of and talk about, because that's even look at ancestrally. If somebody might pass away that was an elder, and then here somebody has a child, and that child has the same type of characteristics as the elder that passed away, whether it be an uncle or a grandfather or whatever, and then they can, well, that look like Uncle Charlie or Uncle such and such or whatever, and the kid literally is that person. But this is the same concept you're talking about. But now back to, I remember that lecture that he did, and as you mentioned it, I remember that lecture he did back in the 80s. It was 86, right?
87.
Yeah, 86,
Mm-hmm.
87.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that really goes, again, what you were just saying is, what do we eat? What are we intaking in every aspect of our life? Not just
Right.
what are we eating food wise,
Mm-hmm.
but what are you intaking knowledge wise? What are you intaking spiritually wise?
Mm-hmm.
And also,
Mm-hmm.
what are you intaking mental? What are you
Mm-hmm.
watching? What are you taking in and regurgitating back to your children?
Right.
So this goes back to how we eat, how we think, what we allow to affect us,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what we watch, what we read, how we practice worshiping ourselves and God.
Yes.
And most of it is, and we see as a teacher, the deficits when our children come into school is what they feed them, because most of the time school systems feed them, what they're allowed to
True.
bring in as snacks or whatever, especially if they come from home,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and the stuff doesn't progress into creating young people that
Mm-hmm.
would be godlike.
Right, right, right.
Because we've always, oh, I'm just gonna let somebody else take care of that.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
you can't let somebody else take care of that, because
Mm-hmm.
then you can't complain when the outcomes are what they want, what a
Mm-hmm.
different society wants, as compared to
Mm-hmm.
what you think you want. If this is what you want for your child, then you have to also make sure that your temple is prepared
Right.
on both the man's and the woman's side,
Mm-hmm.
because they're both creators, co-creators, and bringing this life together.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as the progenitors, you also have to make sure that what you're putting or allowing to be put into this child, your children, the children, is going to
Mm-hmm.
be the best thing for them to turn around and be the little gods and goddesses that we know that they are.
Right.
But the other thing that's got to take place is the words that they hear, the music that they hear, and all of these things that they hear, because those are influential as well.
Yes. I agree. There was one part in the lecture, because we were in deep study of in particular of that lecture. But I remember a few years ago, Sister Dr. Ava, may Allah be pleased with her, asked
Mm.
us to go back and to review that lecture. It might have been 2018, 2019, and it was a part of something that they were doing with us with our study on Friday night. But it's a part in there where he talked in particular about, he said he believed it was a Japanese woman who created four geniuses in the womb, because the first command in the Holy Quran is Ikra, read. And she read while she was pregnant. And when she read the sciences and all kinds of higher thinking, higher knowledge things that helped her to create a genius. And so she created four geniuses in the womb because she followed that command. So those are the powers and things that we actually have, that we can actually do and start at home. We can blame the teacher, we can blame everybody else, but what we do at home is the start. And
Well,
there's many teachers, there's many. Sister Ava was one
my
who said that.
apologies.
That's okay. Sister Ava was one who she said her parents were school teachers, I
Mm-hmm.
think it was. And she said when
Mm-hmm.
she
I
went to
remember.
school and came home, they reprogrammed her to make sure that what they were teaching in school, they made sure she had a higher level of thinking, especially about herself with being black.
Okay, so it
Yeah.
now that goes back to what we talked about and touched on
Mm-hmm.
before,
Mm-hmm.
right? Everybody, oh, I'm a king or I'm a queen or whatever. First of all, we need to stop that, because in order for somebody to be titled that,
Mm-hmm.
there has to be the other part, right? So if you
Mm-hmm.
look at a chessboard, does nothing works on the chessboard unless the king and the queen are on there, and they kind of, the queen controls the board. She's the
Mm-hmm.
most powerful piece on the board,
Mm-hmm.
but circumstances don't make a person a queen. My personal view, but it is what it is. But what makes the that person who they're supposed to be, and I believe we talked about this before, is what type of energy are we going to surround our children with? All right.
Mm-hmm.
You'll constantly hear me go back to this African proverb: the hyena will not raise the lion,
Mm-hmm.
the
True.
jackal comes to steal the food.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to raise lions and lionesses,
Mm-hmm.
then they have to be surrounded by the pride in order for them to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't do that, because we send them out to the hyenas and the jackals. And then when we come home, we don't lick the excess stuff that the slot, whatever that the hyenas gave them and whatever the jackals gave them. We don't come back and, like your mother and Sister Abel said, peace be unto her, is that what are you programming? What are you putting in our children when they come home? Because
Mm-hmm.
if the home is the pride, where the pride takes place at, where the pride gathers in the den, right? then what are we feeding the children so that they understand that they go out there and they battle this? Okay, now I've got my knowledge, my strength, my food from my den, from my pride. I'm gonna go out here and battle yours. Whether
Mhm.
that be foods that help you eat clean, whether that be listening to music or listening to lectures or listening to speeches, or whether that be reading books or having books read in the house. Like if this woman from Japan was able to create people that they consider to be genius level from in utero, only because she decided that she was going to read to them and that she was going to eat a certain diet because they have a fairly clean diet anyway,
Right.
then that's not difficult. But we
Mm-mm.
want to play games um, out here in the world with our children, and then wonder the reason why we have we get the responses that we get.
Right.
And it's
You're
both
right.
nature and nurture,
Mhm.
Mr. Dumas. It's
Mhm.
both and,
Mhm.
because we have to do both. The
Mhm.
nature of who we are and
Mhm.
nurturing what we want,
Mhm.
what the desired outcome
Mhm.
of what we want with our children.
Right.
And it's not ever too late,
Right.
right? It's better if it starts in utero, but it's
Mhm.
never too late to start to reprogram our children, because every day, and I teach, is I hear I pledge allegiance to the flag. And
Mhm.
I remember James Baldwin saying, how am I pledging allegiance to something that's not going to pledge any allegiance to me? But,
Very true.
they're young. The group I have is very young. So I'm not sure. And there will be times when they will get, I will be dropping our science and on them, because you're not going to indoctrinate my kids. You're
Mhm.
not going to do it. I'm not going to let you do it. I'm
Right.
not gonna let you keep. Oh, we got Columbus Day coming up. We gonna Okay, no problem. Let's talk about
Mhm.
Columbus and his truth, and let's talk about the. We just had Constitution Day. Okay, well, what was going on with Native Americans and Native African people and people that was brought here on slave ships during that time, and they were enslaved
Right.
by the very same people we talking about pledging allegiance to. So we gonna talk. We talking about all of that
Exactly.
now. Is it happening at home? No, I know it's not. But
I remember being in the first grade. I don't remember doing the Pledge of Allegiance in the kindergarten. I'm sure we did, but I
oh,
don't
absolutely.
remember. I'm just saying me. Me personally, I don't remember doing it, but I remember when I did it in the first grade and came home and said something to my mom. My mom was like, "Don't do the pledge." I say prejudice because it is prejudice. Pledge of Allegiance. So she stopped me and she taught me then what the Pledge of Allegiance was. At that particular time, we were no
Hmm.
longer going to the mosque, but she still indoctrinated a lot of the principles, a lot of the things that she was taught. She didn't lose that part. She did not lose, and so she was talking to me, and she, even in the second grade, we were probably between second and probably fifth grade, we were probably the furthest away from the teachings at that particular time. But I remember my mother telling them at the school I wasn't taking no more vaccinations.
Right.
And they told her that I couldn't come to school. She said, okay, then she just can't come to school. That's your fault if she can't come to school. She said, because if all of y'all get y'all shots, she ain't gotta take hers. And that was the principle that she lived by. So I tell anybody this, and I still say it. My children haven't gotten any of the vaccinations under my tutelage. Any of them that they received after they was an adult. My daughter in turn and my son in turn, their children are on the same path. They haven't gotten any, and they got the waiver signed. That I was threatened at from Hurley Hospital from some doctors there that they were going to call protective services on me because my now 32-year-old daughter, when she was a baby, I refused to let them vaccinate her, and I refused to allow them to convince me she needed to be vaccinated. I did say she 32, healthy, graduated, master's degree, working and doing educational research. But let me just tell you all, they got us fooled in making us believe that we have to be vaccinated in order to go to their schools and our children. But our children do not have to be vaccinated. And now those things are done in in the case of pandemics where they try to force those on you, and those are still even with limitations. You have to just know the laws and read the laws and just see what it is. See, do what's best for you. That's all I tell anybody. But don't get mad at me because I don't do what you want me to
Well,
do.
the more so than reading the laws, read what's in the material they asking you to take.
Yeah.
That's first and foremost. If you can't pronounce it and you can't find it, then I wouldn't take it. And if you have to take it, there are diets that one can take in order to remove those toxins that are part of the vaccination out anyway. And cilantro is one of the herbs that we can use if you add it to your
Mm-hmm.
diet that will help remove those heavy metal toxins out
Ooh.
because that's what they're based on. And
Mm-hmm.
I know
Mm-hmm.
people about argue of this and it's gonna this one's gonna do that. I don't care nothing about none of that. I don't care. It doesn't matter
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day, they have an agenda and we don't have one.
There you go.
And in your homes where your den is, if you're going to be the lion or lioness, then you better make sure that you're feeding them not only food that is mental, but food that's physical and food that's spiritual as well.
Right.
Because this is a war that we're in. And Dr. John Henry Clark says, and I'm going to quote him, we have no friends. And we
None.
have no friends. We sit here and
None.
acting like everybody's a buddy, friend. No, they're not.
Everybody out with their own agenda,
And it's the most 99% of the time
and it ain't
or
you.
100% of the time, the agenda is against people who look like us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
have no friends.
That's it.
And I see Miss Beverly Barnes say her children have a waiver. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yes,
but on
ma'am.
the other side of that, make sure that what you're doing, feeding them, is that you're feeding them to keep their immunity up. That's
Mm-hmm.
important. Keep their immunity up. And then if they do get bits and pieces of sniffles or whatever, then they'll be able to fight and ward those off because their immune system is built up where they can be
Right.
resistant to it.
Right. That's so very, very true. I know. We just I don't know if you want to go into that, talking a little bit about what the conversation was before we went live. When we was talking a lot of the things that we got just going on. You all have to look deep into why some of these things are going. Why, like we talked about the mainstream. Like what's in the mainstream right now? We know it's definitely they want to get you distracted.
Oh,
What
it's yeah,
what are
all the
we getting
time.
distracted with? Foolishness. While the American dollar is steadily falling and countries are steadily getting rid of them, many of us don't even know that was why Muammar Gaddafi was part of. Well, I won't say the only reason why, was part of the reason why he was killed, was because he was uniting the whole continent of Africa, and they was about to drop the U.S. dollar. But and they still got it in the process that they still got leaders over there who still are in the process of
Right.
doing it.
Right.
It hasn't fallen off because he was killed. He wasn't killed because he was doing something else. And then once he was murdered, that was actually what it was, murder. Once he was murdered, they did what? They went back and said, "Oh, that wasn't the truth. We didn't find anything." They didn't. Isn't that something like what they did in Iraq? The same thing
Well,
when
I
they did
mean,
Saddam Hussein.
they never said, from my understanding, I could be
Mm-hmm.
wrong. I don't recall them saying that he had any weapons over there. But I think the bigger issue was they claimed that he was hiding people that were part of terrorist groups, and so therefore that was the reason why that they did what they did. The bigger thing was is he was
Mm.
working towards uniting Africa to be its own entity instead of an entity controlled by outsiders, outside colonialists.
Mm-hmm. That's what I said. I
Yeah,
mean, that's what I was saying. They was in the process of dropping the U.S. dollars.
yeah,
Those countries over there. Yeah, that's what that's what I said. I don't recall anything about the weapons or anything. I
yeah.
never
But they'll
said.
blame somebody on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they'll blame somebody on stuff.
Yeah, so it was just it's sad, but just watch how we get so distracted by the little things. I mean, like even on local levels, we get distracted by little things. Just be careful. My mama always used to say, be careful of the ones who bring the bone, who carry the bone. I'm talking about media. I'm talking about neighbors. I'm talking about our so-called leaders. Be careful.
Well,
They that bring the bone, because oftentimes when they bring those bones, they bringing them to distract you from the real issues at hand.
well, first and foremost, we don't have leaders because leaders would be doing the things that's the best interest for the people. Um, Whether we don't, we get people who have information that they give, but the leadership comes from what happens in the home because the home, the den, if the den is informed, then the den can make an informed decision based upon research and knowledge and wisdom and understanding,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So then where we go typically for people that we claim or are that we claim are our leaders, then it should be okay that we ask them questions,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to make sure that I want you to, if you're gonna be my leader, then you can't be the leader that you tell me I'm gonna be behind you, but you do what you want to do.
Right.
Because it's got
Mm-hmm.
to be in the best interest of the people that you're supposed to represent. And if not, then
Mm-hmm.
you're not a leader. You're doing it for your own self.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, you're right. Right.
Somebody said they don't want to ask questions. Well, that's your job. You're supposed to ask questions.
Ask questions, please do.
Yeah, that helps us continue to run our show. But also, we're talking about a couple different things. And one of the things we're talking about is, of course, leadership, because it's always going to be the main focus of that. We're also talking about family. So there's that, because family, the leadership in the family is the most important thing, right?
Yes. Yes.
Sometimes we know things happen and family doesn't stay together. But if there are children involved, no matter what that personal stuff is, the children have to be first because God asked we asked God for the children to be here. So they have to be the number one priority, not my personal this or that other person's personal that, whatever, because things didn't work out. Make them the priority.
Right. Very, very
Y'all
true.
keep on walking them out there to the hyenas, and you're gonna see what's happening to the cubs. And you see that now. We see that with what's going on with our young people who have a level of carelessness towards each other that they're willing to take each other's lives. It's going around. It's not just here, it's everywhere. I
Yeah.
just read about a little girl who was 7 years old who her 13-year-old sister took her life. 12-year-old sister took her life. That make sense. It doesn't.
It doesn't make
And I'm not
sense.
saying don't believe it was one of ours, but still, it doesn't make sense. This
It
is young
really
people
don't.
that are taking each other's life, and these are children.
Yes.
So there's something going on in the lack of what's happening in the den that the male lions and the female lions are disconnected, so that when the cubs go out, they're willing to take each other out and lose one's gone permanently, and the other one's gone permanently because there's a disconnect about what's happening inside the den.
Right.
So the gods ain't guiding.
Yep.
All
You
right.
you you right about that.
The gods ain't guiding. The mother god and the father god ain't guiding to make sure that the little gods grow up to how they're supposed to be.
Yeah,
If they
you right.
taking each other out, there's something amiss and
Mhm.
disconnected. Why?
Mhm.
Because we said we can let them go do whatever they want to.
Right.
Insanity.
Mhm.
Insanity.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
Mhm.
That's insane.
Mhm. Yeah. I know. It's a lot. No, Riri, I don't. It's a lot. It's so much going on in just in like you say in our own personal community. I was reading online, and I'll just segue into it. One of the biggest controversies right now is the trash cans. And I have to just say this much. I lived in a city where we had the garbage cans for years. There was no problem. But the thing is that the garbage company never denied if you put any other garbage out to the street, like in another can, or if it wasn't in the trash cans. Some areas they have the trucks that actually pick up the cans, so it's only one person on the truck. My biggest concern more so with that is not just so it is the use of our funds for that, but my concern in long term, are they going to cut people jobs?
Of course.
Because
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead on because I
when
got a
you
response
have
to
those
that.
trucks, when you have those trucks and it's just, you're only going to need one person to run the truck if they're going to eventually get out and just be picking up those trash cans. And I just wonder if they even ask those trash carriers or the people who out picking up the trash, what are their response to it? Do they have handles on those trash
Yeah,
cans
they do.
that they
They
can
do.
use and everything?
Yeah,
And I
but
wondered because I'm looking at the cans, they still taking and dumping them. Those are some big cans. Did we really need a big container for recyclable stuff? Did we really need that big of a container? I lived in a city that was a lot bigger than this. I guess we probably do because we still got to drink bottled water. Our water still ain't fixed. However, we had the little like the totes, like those little
the little small
containers, little
plastic
small.
totes.
I still got
Right,
mine in
right.
the backyard. I use it for some other stuff, but that's what we use for recyclable. You use one for paper. You use one for plastics. You put them by the street. It's recycle day. They come by and pick those containers up. But you had the trash cans. Another concern that I have is it legal to have the mayor's name on those cans? I just have to say it. I'm gonna just tell you, you go in any other community who have those trash cans, and at least they have some kind of form of contact information on them for you to be able to reach out and contact the trash pickup people, the company, the trash company. They have some kind of communication on there. Those cans just say Flint Strong and got his name on it. That's ridiculous. That right there to me showing me, I'm just gonna say it, you don't care nothing about the citizens, because if you did, you at least have some contact information on there. Even if you was gonna be vain and put your name on one side, the other side should have had some contact information, a sticker to put on it, because if we decide to change trash companies, we can always change the sticker that's on the can. But at least should have had a sticker or something on there, some form of way that we can contact the trash company or contact Blight. None of them have any of that on there. And you go ahead. You could
Okay.
say
Because Miss Riri, well, part of
it is advertising.
what happens is when people don't see change, right? Or they can make complaints, or
Mm-hmm.
even whatever the process for recalling someone is. If it takes a long time, people get discouraged because most people, unfortunately, are not in the fight for a long term. They want instant gratification. So if I put in a petition to recall Uncle Mickey Free, it should take place tomorrow. It
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't take a year, but it shouldn't take, it's not going to take 15 minutes either, you know. So people are just in the process of just, well, and then of course when it's time to vote, they're not going to vote them out because people don't come out and vote.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, Mr. Sims, why is the news reporting? Oh, because if your news is tied into the propaganda, why would you put that out there?
Dang, 9 recalls. I heard 8, but 9.
Right.
Oh
And
my
you're right. The
goodness.
distractions is garbage. Yeah, absolutely. And it is advertising. Look at what's going on in Thornton and Dalton.
Yeah, Dalton is off the chain. I haven't really up on Thornton, but Dalton is off the chain. Dalton, Illinois is bad.
But okay, and something that we were talking about earlier, and correct me if I'm wrong. Anywhere that there are black people, we got the same types of problems, right? The issue
Mm-hmm.
is that we're not doing anything to do what? What did we talk about earlier? To make sure that the den in which we live is in order.
Mm-hmm. I don't use my trash cans. I'm gonna be honest with you. They sitting in the back. They ain't coming out to the curb. They're not. I ain't giving him no free advertisement. I don't like them. And if my understanding, there's several communities that decided that they weren't going to use them at all. So they did not pull theirs out to the street. And you have the right to not use those too. Anywhere, anyone who's listening, anyone who you know, they have the right not to use the trash cans that have been sent.
Okay, so
And we do
now
know that that's a small
I
part
was
of
just
the
going to
problem.
say, because the
But
bigger issue is if the leadership is not there, then regardless of the trash cans and the name on them, then the leadership has to be corrected and removed because it's
mhm,
not leadership. If we're having an issue, then I don't, no disrespect, I don't care nothing about a trash can. I could care less. I care less whether it got his name on it, his picture on it, him and whatever, whose name and picture, whatever.
mhm,
What's the greater issue? How is it not the city moving forward? Why are we not doing certain things with our to make sure that our young people can have a future, whether it be here or some other place?
mhm, mhm,
That those are the bigger issues. I don't
mhm,
care nothing about who gave me a trash can.
mhm,
I,
mhm,
I like them. I don't care. But
mhm.
I don't care nothing about whether he came over, and anytime I see him out in public, I talk to him. Now, is that going to mean anything? Probably not. But at the same time, that's irrelevant. That trash cans are a distraction. Who cares? Where is the city moving? How is the city moving? And this is, I know, because I'm pulling myself into politics whether I want to or not. So that means I'm gonna have to make some of these meetings. And there's ones that you have that you're involved in on Thursday that I'm gonna need to make time to get to.
Mhm.
And I missed the one on education. That was this past Thursday. I was tied up with something else, but I'm gonna get there. But and I'm making that promise. So y'all hear me say this. I'm gonna get there. And I ain't gonna take forever to do it. I'm gonna make it quick. But then at what point in time, whether it be one resident or 10 residents or 100 residents or 1,000 residents, are we saying, where are you taking us if you're going to be the leader,
Mhm.
regardless of what power may be behind
Mhm.
him and the council and any of
Mhm.
that? Where are you taking us? Because these are our issues and we want them rectified. And if not, what's going to happen?
Yeah, we get rid of our trash. I got my own cans that I bought. That's what I use to put. I'm responding to a thing that's somebody put that up there. I put my own trash out by the street. I've had cans for years. I've had cans probably at my house. I've been living in this house for more than 12 years. So I bought my own cans. Same way I had when I lived in Cincinnati. The only difference is that they brought us cans and we had them out there. It wasn't an issue because they didn't use ARPA funds or funds that should have been going to the community for us to have other things done. They used didn't mishandle the money. Those cans came directly from the trash removal company, and
Okay.
they had our addresses on them, so they was attached to our house. And those, so yeah, I put mine out. I get rid of my trash. My trash go by the street every week. Matter of
Okay.
fact, I put some out before I came here to this to do this show.
So then what so let me say this. There's a lot of talk, and I'm once again, I'm not,
Mm-hmm.
my ears not in the political door
Mm-hmm.
and in the political realm. Where who can show that there's proof about these funds that are here and where they're going to places that have no benefit for the people of the city. That's all of, and at the end of
You
the
asked me,
day,
said
right.
where's the proof?
Yeah, no, right. So what I'm saying is as a scientist, right? We
Mm-hmm.
can sit there and say, now I've heard somebody say that there was money sent here for this or that or the other. I haven't investigated it. That's not my job. But it needs to probably be part of my job to the degree that if I want to speak on things, and I got that because people want to say, well, how can you speak on things? But this is general stuff that happens in the government. Pause. Let me say
Mm-hmm.
this real quick. When the space program was real big and it was getting major money, a toilet seat was $600 to go in a space shuttle or wherever, with rocket or whatever. A hammer, $1,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they had that much wasteful money in order to be able to spend, in order to be
Mm-hmm.
able to buy tools because they was doing stuff, right? The new jet is $35 billion or $1 million or whatever. The F-22 or the F-35 or whatever. Now, those those are the inflated prices so somebody can make a killing. Somebody can make some money.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're talking locally, And then we hear all of the accusations. And once again, we talked about being able to say, okay, well, you know what, we'll go to court. We talked about that last week because you can take city council persons to court, you can take the mayor to court, but you have to have evidence. Now, I don't know. And I hear people on social media talk about a lot of stuff, but you're not showing evidence. What's the evidence? Now, I'm not saying that you don't have it or Uncle Mickey don't have it or other people that I know that are in the know don't have it, but don't talk unless you're being able to prove that these things are true, right? Let's go back to the point we were talking about earlier about health. Took my sister to the hospital a few months back, 6 months, 9 months back now, told by nurses who work in the medical field, do these things, get these herbs, do this, that, and the other, change your diet, go get these vitamins, go get this over here, because you're not hearing this from me, but they're medical experts, right? They work in the medical field all the time, right? They do patient care every single day. If they're seeing certain things and they're saying certain things about the medicines that people are given, whether vaccinations or whatever, but yet in order to remove them from your body, then you can do this. And in order to be healthier, do this. I can take that advice, right? Because they also, having had to have taken those medications, vaccinations, are saying, hey, this is what I did in order to clear my stuff up, in order to make sure that I was healthy and I didn't have any adverse effects from the vaccinations or whatever, or shots or whatever they had to take. You can do the same thing. I'm telling you this because you know, right? I'm not saying this is hearsay, but at the same time, then charges can be filed and should be filed if all of these things are going on that people are say they're going on, and it ain't gonna, don't require but one or two people to go and file charges in a federal courthouse to say, hey, this is going on and this is misappropriation. Why are these things? And do it. Instead of us talking about what's not going. I don't care about a trash can. That's a distraction. I like them. They big. They too big because I ain't putting out that much trash every week. But I think they're pretty cool. You know, no problem. I'm gonna use them. I don't care. But I don't have that much trash that I'm putting out that every week that I'm gonna roll them big trash cans out to the road. But at the same time, that's not my fight. My fight is, if you're not doing what you're supposed to do where we live at, then you don't need to be in that position.
And that's all a part of it. The trash cans are all a part of it. Everybody's entitled to do what they choose to. I choose not to use mine. I have used a large.
I'm gonna come over and get them so I can have.
I have used. So then you'll be accused of stealing. And you'll be stealing on the property. I know you just joking, but I'm just saying, I choose not to use them, and that's my choice. I choose not to use them. And I lived in a city where I used the large trash cans, but I refuse to use them because I'm going to make a stance on that. That's one issue I'm making a stance on. Not all of the issues that I make a stance on. But that one particular issue, I will stand on. I will not be using those trash cans. If they get used and they get to where they say you got to use them, his name will definitely be covered up, spray painted over, or something. It will not go to the street. He will not get that free advertisement, that free illegal campaigning that they have done, as they have done in the past with the illegal literature that Councilman Eric May spoke so often about. Right. He spoke very often about the illegal literature that went out with the illegal union bug on it and all of that other stuff. So they went to and they started investigating a lot of that kind of stuff. But the trash cans can be used as a distraction. It's just a part of the problem, of a larger problem. And
how come nobody's taking them to court?
So it's a part of the larger problem that's going on. How do you know that ain't happening? How do you know that happened?
Be in the news.
But it also should have been in the news that nearly had 9 recalls and it wasn't done.
Okay.
So that's
what
it.
I'm saying then, that's the people who are in the know, and I'm not. And
Okay.
I'm not
Yep.
in there because I don't go to
Mhm.
council meetings because
Mhm.
I don't want to hear a bunch of dummies arguing about a bunch of BS instead of doing their job. If you get hired to do a job, do the job. That's your job.
Mhm.
Period. If
Mhm.
I'm a
Mhm.
school teacher, I would get fired tomorrow if I decided I was going to sit at my desk, read my books, and not teach the young people that I have in front of me to
Mhm.
turn them into the little gods and goddesses I know they're supposed to be, regardless of what's going on at the den that they go to at the end of every day. But
Hmm.
if
But I don't
if
deny
that's
that.
the case, hold
I
on,
don't doubt. I don't
if
doubt.
that,
Let me finish. I don't doubt that any of these people that's on here making comments ain't going out and trying to make their household and their children and their family a better place to
no,
stay.
I'm not.
They all
That's the
are.
reason why they're
I'm
here.
sure they
They're
are.
here
Right.
because they get a chance to hear some things from a different point of view, and it
Exactly.
enhances something in their life. That's the reason
Exactly.
why they show up, even though they still haven't donated to our cause, so we can get us a
To the
place,
policy,
so we
but
can go ahead on and teach our
that
young
history.
people outside of the four walls that they in. We need a
Mm-hmm.
place, and we need your help to make that happen. But this is what I'm saying, okay? If the news, regardless of its bias,
Right.
and people can say, "Hey, look, I'm going to call Channel 12 or Channel 66 and tell them we're going to put a lawsuit up against the council and the mayor's office because why not do that
I'm
if that's the
laughing at
case?
Beverly's comment. Yes, yeah, you're
If
right.
that's the case, then do
Mm-hmm.
that too. Because if you have a right to take council, mayor, school board, whomever to court, you also have a right to go advertise it. Hey, look, I'm calling 66, calling Channel 12, calling the newspaper, calling the National Enquirer. I don't care, New York Post, whatever. This is what we're getting ready to do here in this city. And everybody has a right to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, once again, I'm saying this: we have a lot of people that are making rattling sabers, but ain't nothing in the scabbard, right? We banging around stuff on taking cups, but the cup is empty.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is
Mm-hmm.
this is how we want to sit around and say that this person is wrong, and you're using money for this, and you putting your name on it as you think you've done something for people, bro, I've got 4 trash cans. I don't need you to give me a trash can. I could care less.
Right.
I could care less. But if you're not doing the right things for the people that you're supposed to represent, then number one, we know that there are powers that be that keep them elected, but then the voice of the people should be stronger
That
than the powers
mishandled
that
the.
be.
Just know they
That
mishandled the ballots.
the voice of the people, the voice of the people should be stronger than the powers that be to remove any of those council persons out of the way. I'm not going down there and argue with you. This is what I demand. You haven't delivered it. Where I live at, I've yet to see the person that's supposed to be my representative. I
Probably
don't have her
won't.
card. I don't know how to get in touch with her,
Probably won't.
and I won't. Oh, and she told me I can't wait till whatever this is over with so we can work together. You don't want to work with me because I'm gonna hold you to the fire, right? You're not gonna sit around here. And I know there's no people around here like Jack Miner who used to be. I am.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who used to be Jack Miner? Who like would be like Jack Miner when we'd have a snowstorm and he'd get his snow thrower out and he's shoveling along with everybody else. And we had a real bad storm and a tree broke down power lines and he's out there with his chainsaw like everybody else, cutting up stuff and this and that and other, all of that other stuff. And Miss Riri, you're right, because I was on a meeting with a bunch of brothers that I know that I'm part of an organization, and they got that whining and arguing, and I got off the meeting. I don't want to hear that. We have work to do. We have work to
Mm-hmm.
do. There's
Mm-hmm.
things that we need to accomplish. Why are we arguing? You're in a city of less than 80,000 people, about 80,000 people. What are we arguing for? What are we
Mm-hmm.
doing as a unit to move
Mm-hmm.
things forward? What are we doing
Mm-hmm.
as a unit, whether it be Ward 1 or what do they call them? I don't know what they call them. Whatever, Ward 1 through Ward 9. What are we doing as a unit to move everybody together in unison?
Not.
Nothing. Because we're sitting there arguing over crumbs of pie that nobody's getting no part of. You're getting
Mm-hmm.
crumbs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. True.
So, if the protest is I'm not using the trash can, cool. No problem. That's cool. That's
Yep.
not my fight. My fight is if you say that you represent me where I live at and I don't see you, then I'm going to personally make sure that you never win again.
Mm-hmm.
Because where I live at, I've been over there for a very long time. And most of those people that I know, we had the right group of people working together. I can walk around the neighborhood myself and talk to them. I don't need nobody to help. I'll help somebody else out. But if you're not doing the right thing by us and you're catering to another group of people because you seem to be safe, you don't need to be there.
Yes, Ms. Riri, that was very disrespectful. What happened and occurred this Monday, with our one of our queens in the community, Miss Eartha. She should not have talked and been that disrespectful. Only thing she has said is, "I spoke to you and you didn't even speak back." And she wanted her out and wanted her gone just for just saying that she had spoke to her.
But if
And
you know
still an
who she
altercation
is,
even
I'm
happened
sorry,
and
my fault. I didn't mean
occurred,
to cut you off.
and the same similar conflict occurred in the hallway after she was removed from the meeting with the councilwoman in the second ward. Same thing. She said, "You can't speak." She didn't speak to her, and that they had done been on a relationship to where they were cool, and she actually helped and supported her quite a bit. It's this the general disrespect that we have, many of our young folks have, even for our elders in the community. We have for one another. It ain't even just the elders. The disrespect we have for one another in our community is on an all-time high. It's just ridiculous.
Okay, so
It's
let me
ridiculous.
uh, slide this in there. If I see you and I speak and I know that you heard me and you didn't return to speak, I'm not throwing my relationship away with you because you didn't speak. You may have been distracted, you may have been deep in thought or whatever, right? And that's okay. If it happens again, then I know how to deal with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it happens the second or third time, then at that point, we'll say, okay, well, you know what, me and Sister Audrey, I don't know what the deal is, but I'm gonna wait and I'm not gonna complain because I'm not throwing away how many years we known each other? 30 something?
Yeah, some
35,
years
40 years
been
with
knowing each
knowing
other.
each other. I'm not throwing away 35 or 40 years of a relationship with Sister Audrey because she didn't speak to her 3 times. She might have been in something else. And then when I catch her in a moment by myself, when we at the store or at the mosque or whatever, I might even come to the mosque and where's my sister at? Hey, I spoke to you a couple of
Mm-hmm.
times, whatever. What's going on? Well, blah, blah, blah. I mean, if I'm wrong, then I can fix that. Let me fix that. Okay, you know what? My apologies. I might have said something or said such and such a way or whatever that it didn't. But if there's no valid reason, whatever, and that's cool. I'm gonna just let you do how you do what you do and
And,
go on about your way.
And she probably will do that. She addressed the issue because when she said, "I spoke to you," that's when she became belligerent. I would have said belligerent and ignorant, sitting up there in that seat and called the police up there to remove her from the meeting. So it was really like, dang, like, what did I do to you to make you go there? Now, how she handled it from that day forward, she know where they stand at. See, I don't give people. I'm a guilty person of giving people multiple chances. Oh, you might have had a bad day. You might have snapped at me, and I might say, okay, you had a bad day. I might give you 2 or 3 times. If you ever see me going off on anybody, trust me, it ain't happened 1, 2, or 3 times. It
And
doesn't
that's a
happen.
given.
It doesn't
That's a
happen
given.
several times. But many times you might be just hearing me for the first time, going off on that person. You might see me for the first time cutting a person off. Because I'm just gonna
Absolutely.
tell
You're
you,
right.
I ain't never
You're right.
ashamed to tell you how old I'm be. If the good Lord let me see next year to June, I'll be 60. Now y'all know it. People been questioning how old I am. I'll be 60 next year in June. I done got too old to be buying into that. I don't care who you are, what you call yourself, where you come from. I don't care if you're family, friends, old friends. You only have so many times to cut and slight me. And I'm at a time where now the time has dwindled down from the 5, 6 times I used to allow you to do it. I'm down to like 3. It's getting real close.
Once or twice.
It's getting real close to the once or twice for me. And I'm gonna say that I don't take. I see one of my friends on here. I'm gonna just tell you. I had people and some of y'all did. Y'all came to me. Y'all apologized to me for not supporting the first time when I ran. I'm okay. I didn't even lose my love or whatever else because you got the right to support one way or the other. And sometimes the candy look more attractive than the pie. That's just it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not so I won't ever say that and I don't hold that against anyone. What I do say is see the actions that's happened after that and how you respond, how you act, what you do. That's where I go.
And that's where the unfortunate part that we have is we have this apathy that we have in our community. That whether people think it's going to work out okay, or it's going to be this and that, or I don't, what my vote doesn't matter, or what I say doesn't matter. A lot of times what happens is votes may go good, bad, right, based upon your position, right?
Right.
So if I vote for this one person and they lose, that doesn't make me lose my faith.
Right.
Faith in the fact that I believe in what you're saying, I'm supporting you.
Right.
But Miss Riri is on my head, so I'm gonna definitely have to go down there one of these days because she done said that this is the 3rd time. So that means move your behind and get out there and go see what's going on.
Right.
And they're definitely going to hear something that I'm going to say that they're not going to like.
Yeah.
Because the very first time that they try and throw me out, and guess what? That's a lawsuit. That's a lawsuit. And I'll take the time out of my busy schedule to file it and make an example. Oh, I don't agree with what you said. Oh, you want to throw me out? Not a problem. First of all, to put your hands on me, that's illegal removal. There's nothing in any constitution that says you can do that. If you ask me to leave, it's a public forum. That's illegal as well. Yes, this is live.
Yes, it is live. Yes, it is live.
Pretty soon we're gonna get us a phone where y'all can call in, actually, and then that's gonna be even more fun. But Lord. You can go head on and file suits for that. I'm not gonna argue with you.
Right.
You throw me out, not a problem. Why? Because I posted a hard question. Same thing that happened at the little thing over at Scott School, where they asked people to be quiet and not ask questions because you wanted the candidates to sit there and tell us who they were. I don't care who you are. I want to know what you're gonna do if you get in the position. And then if you're not gonna do anything, then you gotta go. Period.
Yeah.
Now, what did I do? They didn't tell me to leave. They told us to be quiet, and then eventually we'll shut up because I kept asking questions.
They told you.
And then eventually, but eventually I chose to leave. I chose to leave. It was the 7th Ward debate, and they had, it was in July? June, July. Yeah. Ooh, and so they kept on talking about, they just wanted it to be an introduction of the candidates, and it wasn't an open forum. That's not what you said. This is a public forum. I have a right to speak. I have a right to ask questions.
Could come from literacy. They don't understand. They don't understand the definition
and once
of words.
Again, that right there, everybody thinks that you're ignorant. So I can do what I want. And as soon as you show that I'm not ignorant and that I'm literate and I have questions to ask, oh, you're not supposed to ask me questions. If you're going to ask me questions, you got to leave. Put me out.
Ikra, read.
Please.
Both of y'all said profound because until these people really take them to court.
Yeah. People, they're gonna keep on doing it. If you want to be disrespectful out of order.
Have y'all called the Attorney General's office on anything?
If you are following what's supposed to be called Robert's Rules of Orders, then none of that arguing should ever take place when you're in a meeting. I got off a meeting with a bunch of brothers earlier today because they were sitting there arguing, and it was a waste of 2 hours of my life. I'm sitting there wasting my time sitting there listening to y'all argue about what? I don't want to hear y'all. I didn't join this organization, or y'all didn't ask me to be part of this organization, but it's BS. Don't waste my time. We have bigger things to do.
No, you telling the truth. That's how council be. I didn't got burned out.
Yeah. So if they're sitting down there arguing, Take them to court.
Because it's personal beefs. When you first 2 hours be personal beefs.
It is.
It's
And why is
personal
it 2
beefs.
hours? Why in the world is a council meeting 2 hours? There are 9 districts.
You never
and there
hear
are
what the
9
committee meets, what the committees have
no,
to discuss.
But
Never hear it.
but even if you have a committee, the whole point of the council is the committees have a meeting. The council brings a proposal. The council decides yay or nay whether you support it or not, or whether you're going to allocate funds to it or not. That's all. It's real simple.
Yeah, but that ain't how it go.
I know, because we fallen into ignorance, and nobody's willing to go get not a new Robert's Rules of Order, go get an old Robert's Rules of Order, and this is point of order. I'm gonna use your boy's phrase, point of order, how things should operate.
That was what his beef really was. The late great Eric May.
Yeah,
that's what his beef.
It was never a point of order.
They never knew.
No,
and that's what's going on. It's just
we on here for fun.
We didn't even.
And they told him he was abusing it,
and people didn't even know the rules. That's why I understand why he would be so angry. It's just being honest. When you see it, tell me who over there fighting about clean water.
Nobody. Nobody.
And I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't hear the candidates talking about it.
No. Even when they had the thing that they had over at Scott, what was the point of you being here? I don't need your introduction.
No.
If you want me to vote for you, knock on my door and come talk to me. Other than that, I'm not sitting there. Once again, we wasted 2 hours of our lives sitting there listening to a bunch of mess. And you think in a public forum, nobody's supposed to ask questions because that's how you set it up. And you set it up because then you're being political too.
Right. And it need to be taken to the Attorney General's office, those elections, because too many of those ballots was thrown out because they were not valid, because whoever it was working as a supervisor didn't sign off on them and didn't seal the box properly. And why do they still have a job?
Because then you need to have supervisor to make sure, or again, you have a committee, right? You have the election committee. The election committee's job is to go collect the boxes once the ballots are put in, and then this is real simple stuff.
They promised to they pull the boxes in the districts that they think is going to be the high turnout vote for the candidate that they don't want. Notice where those boxes come from. That was rejected. They always from the area or where the majority of the people want the candidate in that they do not want to have in office.
Once again, if we don't have voter apathy, then we don't have that issue either.
This is ridiculous.
If we have 80,000 residents and 60,000 of them are adults, or 50,000 of them are adults, then there should be 50,000 votes every single time if you tally them all up. So therefore, you don't have this issue anymore. That issue is moot, because now you got an election committee that has to sit there and count all of the ballots. It's a committee.
Right. You're right. Exactly.
And it's a committee of people who are doing it. These issues are very easily solved. We're just not trying to solve them because, again, apathy. And I'm going to say it again. And I know Miss Riri going to mention me one more time about going to a meeting, because if you don't, I'm going to act like I forgot, because that's your job is to keep saying it until I get there. But this is not difficult.
Right.
Running a household and running a city it's almost the same thing. It's a business. Your household is a business. This is a business. You know, so if you have you got more residents in one area or two areas than you do in the other area, that one smaller district don't get the same money that them other two get.
No,
you don't. But if you have, I've canvassed the area that I'm the representative of, so therefore, these are the issues that we have here. I have yet to talk to the person that's supposed to represent us. And this is not the first time or the second time. This is the third time. The only time I talked to that person that won was at the election site over there in the 7th Ward over across the street from Scott School. That's all. I ain't seen her knocking on no doors or whatever. You figure you don't have to, that's cool. Guess what? You didn't get my support this time. I promise you're going to lose next time. I promise you won't be there. You definitely won't be there. You definitely won't. You can put your name up there if you want to, but I promise you'll lose.
Yeah.
But once again, we're not doing our due diligence with knowing and going out there to vote. I don't care. Like, I know some of the candidates that win that are, I know them personally, but you still have to tell me what your agenda is, what your policy is. And if I don't like it, I'm going to tell you I don't like it. I'm not going to vote for you. That don't ruin our friendship.
Right.
If it does, that's you.
Because we got great people that's out there that they just don't make, they make lousy politicians. They are not they have no clue of how to go through the process of doing what need to be done for the people.
Part of it is
it don't mean you ain't do a bad person, just that you ain't good as a politician.
To ask them what they want and then bring it back.
They don't
make sure that happens for them. If they do that, people win all day long. Yep. You win. I don't just because you cool and you flashy and you got a nice car and all this other stuff, that don't mean you don't represent me. You need to tell me and then understand that I'm going to hold you accountable for what it is that you said you're going to do. And that's where we miss at. Because from the sounds of it, that if a person in the audience goes up and challenges somebody's, oh, well, we're going to do this, and that don't happen, that sounds like what ends up happening is this reason why we got an argument. I'm not interested in sitting up there 3, 4, 5 hours to sit up there and listen to somebody be on some mess, because that's all it is.
And they count on that because they weigh you down and all of that kind of stuff, so that way that you get tired and you go home, and then they can say, okay, now we can do it. We ain't got. But the thing is that it's 9 votes up there, regardless of what the audience. If the audience is 1,000 folks out there, of the audience 2 or 3, if they vote, the way that they vote is the way that they vote. It ain't gonna make, I mean, what can the audience really, we can say and use our voices and say what we agree with and disagree with. We've seen it where the council themselves didn't agree with the 2nd ward. And she said, well, I'm going to do it this way anyway.
Well, then at that point in time, there should be a lawsuit filed immediately, an emergency injunction that says you can't do that. And nobody's going to do it. Nobody's done it. And it don't matter. Anybody can do it.
Some have tried and they've been.
They didn't do it. Because
some gone and then they got rejected.
It ain't as easy.
It ain't what.
You get enough people to flood it.
You have to do it, but I'm just saying how they've been doing it. This system is
the judge, same judge that ruled against Eric when he did that appeal to go back to court is the same judge when John Fleming and his mama went there, had his mama arrested because she said God is the last one to give their answer. She was appointed by Biden to go to the federal courts here in the state of Michigan. It's the same exact judge. When I heard her name, I'm like, ain't that the same judge? She was appointed, she was promoted up from the district judge to being in the federal judge by the Biden administration, just here since last summer. Same crooked judge. Then she did all the prejudice stuff. Had the lady that came in, the white lady that came in there with the laundry list of crimes, and they said, "Well, we're gonna give you a smack on the wrist and give you another chance." The girl came in and said, "My man, he's sick. He can't come here. He's been hit." And because she said y'all crooked, they wanted to have her arrested. She was prejudiced from the start, and so these are kind of people we have.
To being lions.
No, I disagree. It's because this judge is in there and we
to the hyenas.
I disagree with that. I strongly disagree with that.
Okay,
it's after 6 o'clock too. We're gonna get ready to shut down. We disagree to disagree. But I'm just telling you what we've been there and we've witnessed quite a few of those different things and the kind of stuff that's been going on down there. So I know we're gonna end today's session because it is actually a little bit after 6. We went over. We thank Nikki for being here and being so patient, being here with us and everything. So we're gonna come back, of course, again next week. I'm gonna be back next week with birthday celebrations, or I won't even say birthday celebration, just an acknowledgement of some of the great work of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That one thing that I want you to show. So next week I'm going to be doing some trivial questions and things on next Sunday, because his birth anniversary is that Monday, the 7th. and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Many of you all know. So I'm going to be doing some prize giveaways. I'm going to have, I just said message to the Black man and how to eat to live. But I'm gonna throw a spin in on it. So some of the winners of some of the trivia questions, you all will win a book. But some of the winners, a couple of them, I'm gonna pull their names in a hat and give away a couple bean pies next week too. Because sometimes people ask me about bean pies, and I'll have a few that'll be available. So just to put a spin on it, we're doing some community outreach on that Monday. We will be doing some of that kind of stuff in the community. I'm sure we always do it. And we got the anniversary of the Million Man March, which will be on October the 16th. And that's a day of abstinence that the nation have asked for us to have a day of abstinence. If any of you all remember in 1995, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, along with Reverend Willie Wilson and some of the other organizers of the Million Man March, asked for a day of abstinence. That means a day not to spend money on gas, groceries, nothing. Don't spend nothing. Stay at home. Educate your children on some of the kind of stuff that we've been talking about here on the show. Those are the days that's coming up. But me, because we're always forced to take off the holidays that they choose, us like Columbus Day and those kind of things. I've chose to take off February the 26th for Master Fard Muhammad's birthday, which is our Savior's Day. May the 11th, which is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's birth anniversary. October the 7th, which is the birth anniversary of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And October the 16th, which is Holy Day of Atonement. Those days I have chosen to take those days off personally from work. And, you know, of course, there's other days too, but those days in particular, because those mean the most to me in regards to the Nation of Islam. But we have to stand up for something and everything. So I just would like for you all to join next week while we have and play some trivia and talk some things about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and some of the great accomplishments that he has made here in the country, along with the great Muslims in the Nation of Islam. There has been a lot of accomplishments that I didn't know until I started reading some of the history books, and I grew up in the nation. So it's very interesting, but not a day goes by that I don't learn something new. And a day should never go by that you don't learn something new. So make sure you do that. So join us. Join next Sunday, 5 p.m. So once again, I want you to give them a closing words. I'll let you close
one of those
out.
pies may be off the table. So I finished my other one, so y'all may not get that as a prize.
Listen, and everything, because they are delicious, and it be the will of God. We're gonna be having those pies available here in Flint. Be here,
but one of them, if it shows up next week, is off the table.
Because my brother in Detroit hit me up every time he gets them in. He gets them in every couple of weeks and stuff, and he hits me up to go
get them too. I have to get in touch with him.
Yeah, and they're gonna be getting them again. He's gonna be getting them again.
You know the brother.
Yes, I do. I know exactly who you're talking about. That's why I said I asked them, and they said they're gonna be getting them back in. We kind of say Flint, but Flint and Saginaw both is kind of together as a mosque. But the brother in Saginaw used to get a case.
Yep, that's right.
Walk out like this with the case on his hand. So we're gonna let Mickey be free for the rest of the day. Okay. You give me some parting words, and you all have a great rest of the week.
Okay. Well, family, thank you very much. We appreciate you all showing up. Make sure we look at the title of How to Eat to Live. How to Eat to Live also is everything that you take in mentally, everything that you take in physically, everything that you take in spiritually, and make sure your den and your little gods and the gods that you are is tight.
That's right. Yes,
thank you, family. We appreciate y'all taking time for being with us. Peace and blessings.
Do something good for yourself.
You got something to tell them, big bro?
For sure. Peace.
Peace.
All right, family. Peace.
Peace.